Very good. Welcome everyone to the Orangeville Police Services Board regular meeting. We're going to call this meeting to order at 5:07. We had some technical difficulties starting up, so sorry for the late start. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. Board members, any disclosures of direct or indirect pecuniary interest?
No.
No, hearing none. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda for today, please? Member Rose?
Second, Ken.
Ken, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. In-camera session. I don't think there's we had an in-camera session before this meeting. There isn't anything to report from that in-camera session at this time. Mary, you look concerned about that. Were you thinking there was? No, you're good? Okay. So we are convening into our public session now. And so that brings us to item 6, which is the ward report, we affectionately called. So Inspector Terry Ward will speak. And I guess, Inspector Ward, did you want to introduce your guest first off? We'd like to give him a warm welcome.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chair. So as we discussed previously, Staff Sergeant McLagan is doing a temporary assignment in the Provincial Traffic Unit at General Headquarters in Aurelia. So that brings in Staff Sergeant Derek Banks. He will be here temporarily for 3 months to begin with, filling in as the Operations Staff Sergeant. So I'll let Derek, rather than toot his horn, I'll let him toot his own horn, and he can kind of introduce himself to the board, and we'll go from there.
Thanks. Welcome, Derek.
Everybody,
nice
so as you said,
Hang on. Can you hear him okay?
I think so.
Okay.
okay, so my name's Derek Banks. I'm from Stayner, born and bred, so I'm not too far away from here. I am a Staff Sergeant Operations Manager. My home location is Wasaga Beach, OPP, which is Huronia West. That is my home detachment. So I am currently on loan down to the Dufferin County. So I am not too far from here. I've been a Staff Sergeant for 2 years. In my background is predominantly in the emergency response team tactics side. But I do have, again, I am an operations staff sergeant at Huronia West Detachment, so I look forward to coming down here and helping out and learning what Dufferin County can offer.
That's very good. Well, we're very pleased to meet you, and it's nice to have you here. Inspector Ward gave you a glowing assessment in closed session before we got onto this meeting. He said you were much older than you look.
I'm not sure how to take that.
Anyway, welcome, and we hope your time in Orangeville is wonderful and fulfilling for you. So thank you for being here. Okay, so we'll turn it back to you, Inspector Ward, if we could. Are you going to offer us? We've had the pre-report. I've certainly read it. Hopefully, board members have as well. Did you want to give some highlights of what's going on?
Mr. Chair, I'll just go through. I'll touch on a few things. Obviously, if you have any questions, ask them whenever, and we'll just touch. I'll touch on the good work. So this will complete the 4th quarter for Orangeville, and this will touch on October to December, and I'll also kind of do a year sum up because all those stats are included as well. So we'll start off with the violent crime link. As you can see, the big one there that kind of stands out is the assaults. Obviously, we're down 51% to last year. And again, as you know, the 2020 numbers can't really be taken because there was that amalgamation from October in. So we're not really sure if the numbers are up to speed yet with that, right? So we'll basically focus on the 2021 numbers. So 14 assaults over that quarter, and then other crimes against a person, which is flagged at 13. For the year, as you can jump over to that column year to date, you can see that there was a total of 144 under the violent crime occurrences that were investigated within Orangeville during this year, which would be January to December 2021. Into the property crime section, again, as we see, one of the things that, the numbers that stand out obviously are the theft unders. And those range from anything from, the theft from cars to the shoplifting to anything under $5,000 basically is captured in there. So again, you look at 55, the mischiefs of 20 in the quarter. And then when we jump over to the year to date, right, there was a total of property crimes of 590. So, I mean, it's a significant number, obviously, with the majority of the calls coming in under that theft under, right? So,
and if I may,
yep,
I get the sense that annoys you, right? Like it's because it's preventable and you've done your education.
Right. And again, I don't have it broke down as to say it was this, and this, but again, like some of them, as you say, Mr. Chair, are preventable, right?
Yeah.
And we need to focus on that whole piece that falls under, as we talk about the crime prevention section, right? And that's some of the stuff that we need to continue on our education piece to get it out there to the public that, these theft unders for ones in the vehicles and different things, like lock your cars. Right? Don't have stuff in plain sight in the back of your vehicle. There's lots of little things that can be done to avoid these numbers. So,
if I may, Inspector Ward, I did a very poor communication job a couple of months ago on social media in regards to what you're saying, and my message is, hey, be aware. Don't do these things. You have the ability to prevent this. Don't put yourself in a position where something that no one can help you with, essentially, because once it's happened, the police can't get the contents of your car back. We don't want the police spending their time on this, considering it's preventable. Anyway, I did a very poor job of describing it, and the feedback was, well, what's going on here? Are the police too lazy to come out and visit us, that sort of thing. And it certainly wasn't what I was trying to say. And I think people misinterpreted the message, and that was, hey, we can prevent it. Let's do that, right? So just wanted to share, and I don't know if you can do a better job articulating it than I just did, but
I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm just kidding. What people have to understand, and again, it's something different. The OPP do things different than some of the municipal policing services, right? And especially the smaller municipal policing services. And one of the things is we try to do is, our frontline focus, and we want to put our resources to where they belong and what's most important. And I know that a lot of people think that, someone going into their unlocked car and stealing change out of their ashtray is at that moment in time very important to them. And we understand that. But what you have to understand is there's other occurrences that are taking place within Orangeville at that time that require police response. And so what the OPP have is what's called a frontline support unit. So when you call 911, or majority of those calls are low priority, the 1-888 number, our communications center get that, and they decide the priority of that call based on the information provided by the victim. And again, there's got to be information to show that there's a suspect or there's potential for follow-up. And if some of the criteria are met, then that generates an officer response. So you will have an officer come to your residence to do the investigation, to follow up with your outside cameras, or canvass the neighborhood, or maybe do fingerprints if it's something that we need to be done. But if there's no chance of, no suspect, no evidence to be collected, and you're reporting it for your insurance company, it's going to be directed to our frontline support unit, and you will then receive a phone call from an officer, and it is an officer that is calling you, to take the details over the phone, to then generate an occurrence or a report to go from there, right? So again, it falls into the criteria of, is there more investigation that's able to be done? Because just sending you an officer to say hi and look here and there's nothing else to follow up, you've now taken away from that officer doing something that obviously we deem to be more of a priority. So that's where we try to, again, as I said, we try to put our resources in the right place at the right time. And, you know, again, I'm not downsizing anybody, how anybody feels or what they think at the time, but, you know, for the smaller theft unders, there are bigger things going on out there that require more of a police presence. And that's what we try to direct and divert to those calls. So I hope that kind of explains it.
So, Mr. Chair, if I might just make a comment on that. I mean, it seems to me that crime control and its components of crime prevention and crime investigation are as much a community's responsibility as they are the responsibility of the police. They're co-stakeholders in that. And so it's not, it's just not good enough for a community to sit back and put it all on the police. The community has to be involved in both aspects of crime control. And anybody that thinks differently, I think, is just being naive.
That's good comments. Yep.
And Mr. Chair, Staff Sergeant Banks just reminded me too that like the OPP has now also generated that online reporting system as well, right? So if you don't, you know, people don't need to see a police officer and they don't want to call the 188 number, there is the online reporting through opp.ca. And they generate the report, it gets sent in, an occurrence gets created, and you have that availability then to use that occurrence number to go through your insurance, right? So it's just another way that we try to put our resources where we need them and not have them aimlessly running around to occurrences and doing stuff that can be done through technology, right? We have a lot of technology now, we need to utilize it. And I know some people get upset because they want that personal touch, and I get it, right? But sometimes we just can't. We have to really be cognizant of our manpower and where we use it and how we utilize it, and so that's where technology comes into play. And the OPP is big on technology, and that's something that we'll be continuing to push forward from there. So,
very good.
And I appreciate Ian's comments there too. It's a police community, right? The community are the police are the community. So it's a big thing. We all have to work together to try and bring some of these numbers down. So again, we'll go into continue on into drug crime. As you can see, and again, we'll touch on for the quarter, possession, two charges of possession. As you can see for the year to date, right? We've got a total of 20 drug charges, and I believe in the back of the package where I put some of the press releases, just for you can see that, you know, our community street crimes unit are out there, and they're actually doing great investigations, which are allowing them to get warrants to get in and actually seize drugs and lay appropriate charges. So it's good to see too. Moving on to the next, as you can see, these are the, so the first is the part 3s, which are the summonses to court. And again, as you can see, compared to 2020, you know, back in 2020, there was 129, in 2021, 109. So again, it's comparable. Where you see the increase is into the part 1s, right? The provincial offense notices, which is our Highway Traffic Act, Liquor License Act stuff. As you can see, for a total, for the year, there was 1,281 Part 1 tickets issued within Orangeville. So I'm pretty happy with the increase from 2020, but just overall the amount of work and again, right, that's charges. That doesn't go to the number of vehicle stops and contacts that the police are making out there. So, you know, you double, triple that to the number of officer discretions that where they, as you can attest to, Mr. Chair, right? People get pulled over. They don't always get a ticket, right? They get the education. So, you know, so you look at that, okay, 1,281 tickets. So double, triple that in the number of contacts we've had and education that we've done out there as well, right? Which to me is fantastic work.
Through the chair, Inspector Ward, am I right that the 2020 numbers, you may have said this already and I missed it, they are annualized or are they actual?
The ones you're looking at right now for the tickets and the Part 3s and Part 1s, They're actual.
And
The
for
one,
violent crime and the previous ones, were they?
those ones are not, because the system didn't change over until October of 2020, right? So I can't be confident that those numbers prior to are actual.
I see. I mean,
so soon we'll be talking apples to apples, because
right, 2021, 2022, absolutely.
Still skewed by a pandemic, but nonetheless,
yeah,
more comparable.
So then the next one is just kind of the action plan, just some stats, just to show you know where we've been. So these are all within Orangeville, right? So our ride hours for year to date, 392 hours of ride completed in Orangeville, 671 hours of foot patrol. We had 83 occurrences, trouble with youth. We had 265 mental health occurrences. And you don't have this. I just got these stats today. And of these occurrences, 46 incidents were MCERT, which is our mental health crisis response team, and community partners conducted follow-up visits. And 69 of those 265 were MCERT was the primary unit. So they were dealing with live people in crisis and dealt with it appropriately. So of that as well, there were 85 involuntary apprehensions, and 21 of those were made by our MCERT unit. So it just shows there's a need for that unit within this community. And again, that's as we talked previously in the closed unit, but we're striving to keep building and getting better and providing that service. So. Moving into traffic control registry, I'm not going to go through all the motor vehicle collisions that are there for the quarter, as you can see, and the primary causes.
Inspector Ward, if I may, your new traffic unit, or relatively new traffic unit now, would you be able to just offer some thoughts on that and how that's going within the four walls of our town?
Yep. So our traffic management unit is currently just 3 members. But it's been very successful. And again, we're using them, I call it the tip of the spear, but with the number of traffic complaints we get throughout Dufferin County, they are the ones that are basically cataloging those complaints and giving the response, right? And so I don't have an actual number of how many charges they've laid or how many occurrences they've actually went to. But from everything I've seen, very successful, right? Very successful to the point that I'd love to expand it. But we'll have to see how our manpower situates to be able to do that. But it takes a bit of pressure off the platoon officer who's dealing with the mental health calls and the theft calls to not have to worry about a lot of the traffic complaint calls that we have this unit that specializes in going and dealing with that, or if we have a stop sign issue or certain areas within, they can focus on that and get the results. So again, you've got that engagement, the education and the enforcement piece, right? And moving forward, we're looking at getting them trained up to be able to do the truck enforcement, the CVOR stuff. We have scales that we can utilize. There's lots of benefits to having them out there. So
it's great.
We had to start small, but eventually, as you know, this area, especially Dufferin, can definitely use that traffic management. So, and I kind of skipped over a couple of these other things. I got the impaired operation by alcohol charges. We had 35 within Orangeville. So again, it's kind of sad that the public's not getting the message, right? If you drink, don't drive. So that's out there. We had 1 impaired operation by drug charge, and we had 40 distracted driving charges, which are cell phone. So again, right, the message, we keep doing the education piece and getting it out there. And if you drink, don't drive, and don't use your cell phone. But the officers are still intercepting those people and laying the charges. So we'll keep the messaging, but we'll also keep the enforcement piece going too. So.
Inspector Ward, if I could. You had encouraged us to reach out to you if there were issues, and I did so. I just wanted to share a brief story. There was a complaint in a neighborhood, and I won't mention which area of Orangeville it was, about rolling stop signs. And the police came out and certainly were a presence and were handing out tickets and enforcing that area. And kind of funny, but kind of sad. But the person who lived on the corner rolled the stop sign and got a ticket himself, right? So it can be the people who are right in the neighborhood, and you know, if you're doing something wrong, even if you live right there, you still have to get one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And that's a good message, Mr. Chair. I mean, a lot of the complaints we get, we end up rolling up the complainant in it, right? And I guess maybe it's the attitude of do as I say, not as I do. But when it comes to the enforcement piece, it's not the way we're going to work it.
Yeah.
So
anyway, it was well done and appreciated. So thank you for your follow-up.
So anyway, we talked about the traffic, the collisions, as you can see on the chart. For 2021, we had 24 non-fatal injury collisions, 292 property damage collisions, for a grand total of 316 collisions within Orangeville in 2021. So that's a significant number as well. And that's something else to, we're going to look at, is to see if there's any possible way of collision reduction, is to see if there's any hot spots or anything that we can focus on. Next, we have the false alarm for October to December. And again, I'm not going to go through that. You can see it, that there was several 82 false alarms within a 3-month window, which is to me significant. Because again, right, it's tying up resources because we have to respond. So,
if I could, Deputy Mayor or Member McIntosh, did you want to speak to that at all? And just, do you want to share an update on that, or for the?
It is on our agenda later on, I believe. But yes, we have passed a motion at council to do some billing for these. So we're asking staff to come up with a policy on this. I noticed, for example, there's one location, 95 First Street. You were there at least 6 times for alarms, and that's unacceptable. And hopefully, when the policy does come out, that will decrease significantly some of these calls. I think I mentioned it before. The fire department, when I was there, if we went to an alarm more than once, we had inspectors go in and order them to fix the alarm. Unfortunately, burglar alarms, intrusion alarms don't have that force and power behind them. So that's why I never push for alarm calls to be billed with fire, because we could go in and order them fixed, and they did. And if they didn't, they were penalized severely. But unfortunately, this is the only way we can do this, is through a town bylaw of such for billing. So that's what we're working on right now. So it is coming.
And Mr. Chair, we start to see an increase in false alarms when the weather changes, because most of them have motion detectors within the area. And if the heater kicks in and it blows something and the motion detector gets activated, the alarm goes off, right? So that's why you see, a lot of times you see increases in this fourth quarter because of certain areas like that, right? So, and again, it's just awareness of the owners to make sure that nothing's in front of their motion detector, that their system's operating properly, right? So I'll just go through again. I just want to touch on a couple. We like the good news stories, right? So I include some of the media blasts, and again, if there's any questions on them, but it's still nice to go through. You can see some of the areas that some of the impaired drivers were arrested in. Good news story, right? We continued on this year with our Toys for Tots, and as you can see, right, we generated $6,827 in cash, $1,400 in gift cards. So what a successful event that was, and so it's nice. It's good to work with the Salvation Army, and the OPP can, in partnership there, and something very successful. Some people, some other charges. We brag about our Movember being part of that, right? We raised just under $3,500 for Movember, so I thought that was pretty impressive, and it was a good team building event as well. So we had some fun with that. I do not look good in a mustache, by the way.
We all thought you looked quite handsome.
Well, thank you. You're one of the few. My wife didn't like it.
Well, that was Mary's words, not mine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Again, some impaired drivers, stolen, obviously some stolen vehicles where we've apprehended. One of the ones, again, is the search warrant resulting in drug seizure and charges. I mean, as you can see, again, I'm not going to go over, but it lists the people and a lot of the property that were seized. So again, they're there for more for your reading pleasure than anything else, but it's kind of, most of them are good news stories, and it's nice to see. And it just shows you that our men and women are out there and they're working hard, and it's the results are obvious. So that concludes, barring any questions, that concludes the ward report, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Love the ward report.
You can take credit for that one.
Yeah. Ward members, any questions or comments?
Very, very good. Thank you.
Very good. I do have one, and it's for Staff Sergeant Banks, and that is, why am I not able to get through the main light at Stainer in the summertime? Can't we? Can't you get your?
Which way you're going, I guess.
Yeah, get your hometown to look after that, would you?
Yeah. You know what? That one northbound, right by the Tim Hortons, that's a bane of my existence because it's the longest light that I've ever encountered.
Oh, so tell me about
it's something else. You know what? Yeah, I can get on that. I'll go talk to the mayor myself and see if we can square that away.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. And we appreciate you being here, and look forward to working with you. The only thing that we was left in this ward report, and that is just for the public to know, the inspector has rightly asked this board for its meeting schedule. The board has been meeting monthly and sometimes more, and quite candidly, a lot of that has been closing our old business, and the old business was the Orangeville Police Services Board, and we are pretty much there in terms of that transition now and ready to move forward with OPP. So we didn't get to it in our closed session with Inspector Ward. We will be going back into closed, and Inspector Ward will have direction for you post that meeting, but I think it's safe to say that we'll be revising our schedule for 2022. I had to think about what year we are in here, so we'll get to that and provide you the information that you require. So thank you again for that today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Board members, if there's nothing further, could we have a motion to receive the ward report?
So moved.
Very good, Mary. Andy, second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I'd like to move on to item 7 if we could, and it's entitled Board Secretary Interviews. Where we're at is the contract with our previous secretary has ended, and Heather has chosen to move on to other pursuits. So we certainly, the board would like to thank Heather for her services. And appreciated her time for sure. And in addition to that, we have our vice chair, Ian McSweeney, acting as secretary for this meeting, and kind of above and beyond as you participate and also take notes and help us prepare for these meetings. And Vice Chair McSweeney, we certainly appreciate everything that you're doing for us as we work through this. So for the rest of us and for the town, so resumes have been received. The date has passed for applying, and we will be striking a committee and working with town HR to have someone hired. So hopefully that will be done in the near term. So that is my update on item 7. If the board members have any questions, great. If not, I'd like to take a motion to receive the report, please. Any questions, board members? No? Okay. Mary?
I'll second.
Okay. Ian, thank you for seconding. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is item 8. It's the vaccination policy. The policy is attached here for everyone to read. And if you're following along at home, essentially what the board has done is adopted the town policy If things change, the board reserves the right to make changes to that vaccination policy in terms of in-person meetings and whatnot. But for now, we're essentially adopting the town policy. Would anyone like to comment on this or ask a question? No? Okay. Hearing none, if I could have a motion to receive this item.
I can.
Okay. Member Rose, Member McIntosh seconded that, I think. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this moves us on to item 8. Excuse me. Item 9, excuse me, I can't count here. So item 9 is a letter that was received from the town of Penetanguishene, and it was addressed to the Attorney General, and it's concerning rates of recidivism. So I was hoping I would say it right, and I did. Always struggled on that word for me, but basically what's happened here, the background is the town of Penetanguishene has decided that they're concerned about the high rates of crime and the high rate of offenders as people are being released and therefore have the opportunity to reoffend. So what they're hoping is that as the pandemic ends and the provincial courts are able to monitor and record who the offenders are and hopefully influence them to not reoffend. So there's a letter here. The board can write their own letter or simply receive the report and move forward. Now, if board members or even yourself, Inspector Ward, would like to speak to this item, any thoughts on that? Or yourself, Staff Sergeant Banks?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I mean, the biggest problem with that is you got to remember that Penetanguishene have a super jail and a mental health facility there. So it's like Staff Banks just kind of commented too that, you know, that when you have those certain facilities in your community, that can bring a negativity to it when people get released and they ended up not moving, they stay there, and it causes a circle, right? And I think that's some of the things that Penetanguishene are running into right now, and I can't really speak to a lot of it because we don't seem to have that problem here, but you can see where they're getting their issues from.
Understood.
I wonder, Mr. Chair, sorry, Mary, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Ian.
I'm just wondering whether perhaps at our next meeting, if Inspector Ward could have a look into the statistics on these, reoffender statistics within Dufferin County, and we could then have a discussion about the situation locally.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to pull those stats, Ian. So I'm not going to dig too deep into that one. Let's not go looking for something. Let's just, if you're going to make a decision on you want to support it, then support it. If you're not, then just get the report and read it, right? But at the end of the day, I know a lot of their problems are coming from what they have in their community, right? And we don't have that here.
Understood. Mary, did you want to speak to this item?
No, I was just thinking that there was something that we didn't want to undertake at this point, because I don't think it's a problem here. So I was just going to say that we would receive the information.
Very good. Okay. Are you making that motion then, Member
Yes.
Rose? Okay. And Member McIntosh, you wanted to second that item? Very good. Okay. All in favor of receiving this item?
Yes.
Yes. Ian and Ken, did I?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Okay, so that brings us on to item 10, and this is our board service standards. There was attachment here that is provided, and essentially what the board service standards does is it keeps us in line with dates and expectations for each other in terms of how we're meeting our protocols for different dates. So to me, when I opened this item, we certainly had some issues this time. There was some turnover within our ranks, and I don't think we hit our dates and necessarally flourished as we prepped for this meeting. We were able to put it together with the great help of Member McSweeney, but nonetheless, I don't think we hit our dates. Member McSweeney, did you want to speak to this at all, or?
No, I think this is just a public reporting, so that the public
Yeah.
some comfort in the fact that we have service standards that we measure ourselves against in order to make sure that we do get things done and that we do properly prepare for meetings, and that after the meetings we do have deadlines in place for those post-meeting items that need to be addressed, and all of that is actually put into actual deadlines in advance of each meeting. And the January deadlines, for example, are also part of the materials. So I think going forward we'll have a bit of a better track record.
I think so too. Okay, we have a motion to receive item 10 as is then, please. Member Rose.
With thanks to Ian for doing a tremendous job there.
Yes, agreed. And Member McIntosh, were you giving the head nod there? Very good. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. So item 11 is the children's traffic safety signs and the false alarms. Member McIntosh, did you want to speak to this item? I apologize. I guess I did, to your point, I jumped the gun on the false alarms, but perhaps you'd like to speak to the children's traffic signs?
Sure, Chair Taylor. The town has been undertaking a traffic. I'm not sure what it's exactly called, but it's a traffic survey. There's an outside company working on it. So these signs are going to be incorporated into their study to see the value of it. I believe the report is coming to council February 24th. So we'll have a more definite answer by then. But again, I brought this forward at council. I think it's a great idea. You know, I drive through some cities and towns, mainly towns, I guess, and you see handmade signs saying, slow down, watch your children, and this sort of thing. This is more consistent, and it's more pleasing to the eye, and I think it has a better impact than a magic marker on a piece of cardboard. So I supported this idea, and I believe on the 24th of February, the company will also say it's a good idea. So council had no objections to it, the way it stood.
Okay.
Very good. And just as a refresher, I don't want to put words in Inspector Ward's mouth, but he also supported this. It was, I think the comment was anything that helps with traffic safety is something that you would be in favor of, sir. So we brought that to council at the behest of yourself and the board, and it looks like we're making some progress there.
Yeah, that's good news. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion to receive that information. Member McIntosh.
I wonder if Member McIntosh can just repeat the false alarm part of the report as well.
Oh,
here.
Certainly.
Yes, the town is working on a policy for false alarms. It was approved by council. I'm not sure, there's no date on that when it's going to be brought forward, but it shouldn't be too hard because a lot of towns do have such a policy, so I would imagine we'll just be stealing from one of them. But council did approve a policy, the town to work on a policy, and once it's presented to council, I will have approval, I'm sure.
It was well received, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So we've already approved the item, so we'll move on. And this is item 12, and it's the Zone 5 meeting report. And it's not as exciting as the Ward report, but we'll have the McSweeney report on this Zone 5 meeting. And thank you for representing us.
Before we do that, can I just have the who rate in number 11? Who made the motion and who seconded?
I think it was Andy and myself.
I think so as well.
And it was carried. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Just let me grab it. So the Zone 5 meeting occurred on December 14th. It was a pretty good meeting. There was a report on the new legislation, the CSPA, which once again is on hold until after the provincial election. So that's not really, I think, shouldn't be news to anybody. and that there was also a discussion about the spring conference. The OAPSB is planning. I was a little surprised at this, but Lisa McDonald reported that they were planning to have their spring conference in person. I don't know. I've got an email into her to get the date and a further update on the details. And once I hear from her, I'll share that with the board. And then we can talk about whether we send anybody to that virtually or in person. But I was surprised that to hear that Lisa reported that they were thinking about an in-person attendance.
Probably in some sort of exotic location like Stainer.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, if we can all bunk in with Staff Sergeant Banks,
yes,
we'll make a night of it.
Yeah.
The guest speakers and Inspector, you'll know these officers. Brian Larkin, the chief in Waterloo, was one of the guest speakers, and then Jeff McGuire, who is the OACP executive director. Both great guys. Jeff McGuire in particular was quite a charismatic speaker. I think he's a bit of a no-nonsense guy, and I think he has been actually talked before at other meetings. So it was interesting to hear him. It was just a sort of a general update, a lay of the land. The materials that accompanied the agenda, the financials, the brief financials, and the minutes from the previous meeting are attached. I invite members to have a look at those. And when the minutes of the December 14th meeting come out, I'll also distribute them.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Member Rose, you have a question?
I just have a question about the financials. Is this particular board allowed to run at a loss, or to use that in their information and to use reserves to make up the difference?
Oh, Mary, that is such a good question. And it's a segue into one of my big issues, which I left this out of my report because I sound like a broken record, but you will recall that when I initially started going to Zone 5 meetings, they were reviewing their bylaws, and I questioned what the authority was to review the bylaws, where were the Zone 5 constating documents, and that was investigated, and there are none. So these zones that were created by the OAPSB are somehow created out of the ether. And I don't know how they've been operating for 20 years. And I don't know, quite honestly, if anyone poked around, I don't know really how they are holding money and opening bank accounts and doing all the things that they do. I know there is a fix, and I proposed that fix, and there was a committee struck to look at that fix. And I think Fred and others got waylaid on other issues, but I'm hopeful, because I've poked them again. I'm hopeful that will be resolved this year. Sort of it'll be my swan song to get that issue fixed. But I can see when I raise this topic at meetings, I can see by the faces that they glaze over. Right? Whoa, there's this guy again. What is he talking about? And are we in trouble? And the answer is no. I mean, I'm not worried about anything, but technically, it's an odd situation, right? I don't know how they're operating.
You would be used to that, though, would you not, Vice Chair?
Yes, I am very used to that.
Yes. All tongue in cheek.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So Mary, I don't know when, I know that doesn't really answer your question, but I think, I don't know what the specific answer to your question is. I don't know if Ken has a comment based on his financial acumen, but I know that there's a broader question afoot.
Thank you.
Very good. Any further commentary, board members? No? Okay. Can I have a motion to receive that report?
So move, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. I'm a seconder. Andy, thank you. All in favor? Yes.
Reluctantly.
Yeah. Because of the money?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Ian, thank you so much for that. Thank you for representing us there. So we are on to item 13, which is adoption of the minutes of previous public board meetings. And Member McSweeney, we did talk about October 19th, but I believe that was resolved. It's just November 16th that we're going to speak to today, is it not?
So if I might just bring the board up to date. So we did approve the October 19th minutes.
Yeah.
And the October 19th minutes were posted on our website, but they weren't delivered to council. So council is caught up to September. And so what we need to do after approving the November 16th minutes today is, and I think I built this in the motion, is that we'll just instruct Chair Taylor to pass on to the town clerk the minutes, the October 19th minutes and the November 16th minutes, and then we'll be fully caught up.
Good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making note for myself. Got it. So could we have someone make that motion?
As amended, yes.
Very good. Thank you, Member Rose. And a seconder?
Second, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very good. So website review update. So we still have some tasks outstanding on the website. Just really quickly, so Member McSweeney just talked to the minutes to post. We have to post November 16th. And then the only outstanding piece, I think, from the board is, Andy, we're still waiting on some information from you. So specifically, a mugshot of your lovely face and a little bit of a biography. So I put a stick drawing in on your behalf, but that's the placeholder as of right now. So I imagine it could wait until we get through the hiring process, but just something for you to have in the back of your mind that you're not represented on there at this time. But I think everybody else is. Okay. And Ian, how do you want to handle the posting of the November 16th minutes to the website? Will we link in with the clerk, or what's?
Whatever is the most expedient way of doing that. I don't know how quickly we're going to hire a new secretary, but we can prevail upon the town.
Do you want me to follow up with that, or is that something?
Yeah, you could follow up with that. That'd be great. Since you're sending the minutes to the town anyway, if somebody could post it to the November 16th minutes to the website, that would be great. And Mr. Chair, don't forget, and I haven't really gone back and checked on this, but these minutes need to be signed. So need to make sure that we sign them.
So you and I will link in on that, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I guess we need a motion to receive that. Or we? I think
So
we
moved.
do. Yeah. Member Rose, thank you. Member McIntosh, thank you for seconding. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So number 15, we're almost there. And this is the board member claims for special remuneration. So these were claims for meetings. And Vice Chair McSweeney, I just had one question for you. So in those packages, you've redone them. There's 2 for November 30th, 2 for December 7th. It's because you revised them as clarification, correct?
There are 4 for December 7th. There are 4 for November 30th. There's 1 for December 14th.
Right.
Yeah.
2 for December 20th.
Yeah.
Okay. And the 4 are because it's
those are special meetings. Those
Yeah.
are special meetings.
Yeah.
And
So
Andy wasn't there, so that
I was just gonna say, yeah. So TT, IM, and MR, and HA, that's who attended that one. Same people attended the 7th. Ian McSweeney attended the 14th, and the 20th settlement conference was myself and you. Yes,
that was on the litigation matter.
That's correct. Okay, and I guess we just need to.
They are all. I will speak to this a bit in close, but the claims as presented for board approval have been done by me, and they are accurate.
Yeah. And same thing, these are going to need signatures as well, right?
They have signatures.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, very good. Motion to receive item 15.
So moved.
Second, Ken.
Ken, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay. Ken, just an aside, it's very hard to hear you. I don't know.
Yes.
What,
Yeah,
Terrible.
I'm gonna call in the next one continuation because something's wrong with my computer.
That's better. Ken, that's better. I think just maybe move closer to your mic.
Something's wrong with my computer, so it's fine. Anyway, I'm gonna call the next one. All right.
Okay. So item 16 is question period, and Mona, is anyone on the line who would like to speak to the inspector or a board member?
Through you, Chair, there's nobody on the line right now.
Very good. Okay. So 17, there's no presentations, delegations, and I'm not aware of any correspondence at this time or reports. So that would bring us to new business. Board members, is there any new business items at this time? No? Okay, hearing none, we are prepared to adjourn this meeting. And just before we do, board members, we're going to go back into closed and finish the work that we've done. And Inspector Ward, thank you very much for your time today in the closed. And I wish you well with the Shelburne folks. And we just know that they're not as nice as we are. So
Never as much fun, Mr. Chair. Never
that's
as much
right.
fun.
Brace yourself.
I do.
Todd, the call-in, is that the second continuation for the
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and Staff Sergeant Banks, it's a pleasure to meet you, and we wish you all the best in your time while you're here in Orangeville. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you for your time. Okay, everyone. So a motion to.
If you could just, Mr. Chair, if you could just call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I was just going to, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn, led by Mary, and a seconder, please.
Ken, yes.
Ken, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Board members, why don't we meet at 6:05 and closed?
Oh, big deal.
5 minutes.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, be safe, and we'll
Thank you.
talk soon.
Very good.
Thank
Good
you,
to see
everybody.
Ward, thank you for your time. Bye-bye.